We're going to talk Illinois versus Oregon, go over our predictions on this. This is a very, very interesting game here. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, and let us know your guys' thoughts on this game down below. Do you guys think that they're going to, which team do you think is going to win and why? I'm very curious to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So let's jump into the psyche of these two teams. We're going to start with Illinois first. Illinois' motto this season has to be Illinois versus the world. Think about it. Let's jump into the AP polls first. You're ranked 20th. On the season. You've lost one game, and the team that you lost to was Penn State, and it was at Penn State, and it was a night game at Penn State. Statistically, you don't go and beat Penn State at night at Penn State. The only teams to do that usually are the powerful Michigan and Ohio State when they have their best teams. And even then, they're usually winning by like 3 to maybe a touchdown or around there. They're not dismantling Penn State by any stretch when they beat Penn State. So Illinois goes and beats Penn State, and they're projected to lose against Nebraska, against Kansas. Every team that they've played so far, it's like, you're going to lose, you're going to lose, you're going to lose. They're used to this. They are used to this. And so they struggled against Purdue. Well, the last time they beat Purdue, and they played Purdue every single year, the last time they beat Purdue was in 2019. It was the last time they beat them. For whatever reason, Purdue has their number. It's just kind of one of those games. They beat Michigan. They've done everything they needed to do. And so you look at their AP polls. How would you feel if you were Illinois in this? Right? The only team you lost to is third in the country. You look at, let's say, Ole Miss. Ole Miss has lost to Kentucky and LSU. They've lost 2 games, and not one of those teams is ranked as high as Penn State. Not one of them. You think that they're feeling like Ole Miss should be ranked ahead of them? Would you if you were Illinois? I wouldn't. You look at K-State. K-State lost to BYU, who's ranked 11th. Do you think that Illinois would feel respected by that? I wouldn't. So I think Illinois is feeling rightfully disrespected in this. I feel like everyone's saying they don't stand a chance, and I feel like Illinois is saying, what do we have to do to even get some respect from anybody? And they're not going to get it. Let's look over the spread here. Oregon's favored to win minus 21.5 points. Okay, that's quite significant. If you look at Illinois' defense, they allow an average of 18.1 points per game. So not only is Oregon going to beat you by more than what you average per game, but they're going to beat you by more than that. Not just what you average. They're going to beat you by more than what you average. That is a major slap in the face to Illinois. That's not like, hey, it's going to be 2 touchdowns or something like that, or hey, 7 points. Not like a Penn State, which was 2 touchdowns. No, they're just gonna crinkle you by 3 touchdowns. You're not gonna stand a chance whatsoever. Look at the matchup predictor, 91.4% chance to win. There is not one area where you can look at and say, if you're Illinois, that they're giving you any respect at all. Not a single bit of respect. Everyone thinks you're terrible, except yourself. So with Oregon, you look at Oregon, they're the number 1 team in the country right now. And Oregon, you have the biggest target on your back. And everyone knows this. And everyone also knows, the people who are in the know that everyone is doing anything they can to find any reason to knock you below an SEC team in the rankings. They're itching to try and throw Georgia at number 1 or some SEC team. That's just what happens. They always look for a reason to throw an SEC team at number 1. Always. So Oregon knows that. Oregon knows that. And they know in this game it's kind of a setup game here because they're projected to absolutely crinkle Oregon or crinkle Illinois. And if they don't crinkle Illinois, what do you think happens? They're not giving any respect to Illinois. So if it's a close game, they're going to say, let's drop them to number 2 and put Georgia at number 1. Oregon knows this. So it's a very tough thing for Oregon because they're not supposed to have a close game in this matchup whatsoever. And let's look at who they've played. Are they really used to playing Big Ten teams so far? I mean, Ohio State, you beat Ohio State, right? And that's huge. And a lot of people are going to look at that game and say, well, they beat Ohio State. That means they can beat everyone else in the Big Ten. But I want to remind you of something. They have been prepping for Ohio State the minute they heard Ohio State was on their schedule. That's what you do against teams like against Ohio State, right? You prep for them day 1. You're not prepping for Purdue day 1, Illinois day 1, probably not even Michigan day 1, Maryland day 1. That's not happening. So you're not really used to playing the Big Ten. I mean, you've played 3 Big Ten true opponents, UCLA doesn't count, and 1 true Big Ten away game, and that's against Purdue. And I'm not saying that Oregon's not good or can't, beat these teams. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is just think about it. You're looking at this game and you're thinking, well, since you beat Ohio State, that means you could beat everyone, which is true, but also these teams are not teams that you're used to and not teams you have been prepping for to the level that you've been prepping for Ohio State. Okay, so for me, that's something that I see. And I'm not saying that Oregon's going to lose this game. I'm not saying that. So we're going to go into our final thoughts on this. My final thoughts are, we believe Oregon's going to win this game, but don't be shocked if it's an upset and Illinois pulls this one out. Because Illinois has 0 to lose on this. You're not going to get any respect. Not at all. It's also tough on Oregon as well, because if Oregon doesn't dismantle Illinois, what do you think is going to happen to the rankings? They're doing anything they can to put an SEC team at the top. They're looking for any excuse possible to say, oh, Georgia goes to number 1. Oregon's not for real. Still, the SEC is the best. That's the way it is. They do it every year. So there's a lot at play in this game. There's a lot at play. There's one team that it's like, oh man, you're gonna dismantle them. Look at all the odds. Like, it's not even a close game. No one believes it's going to be a close game. And I think Oregon deep down's like, this game's, I think Lanning's looking at this and going, guys, we cannot, don't listen to this crap. How easy this team is. You got to go out and beat the shit out of this team. That's what we have to do, because this team is going to come after you, and they're going for the jugular. Illinois has nothing to lose. They're a cornered animal. They're a wild animal who's been trapped. And what do they have to lose? Nothing. 0. Oh, if you lose, you should have lost. If you keep the game close, oh, wow, Oregon's not that good. There's no winning in this besides just winning this game. And even then, you're probably not going to get much respect. Illinois knows that. So Illinois is going for the jugular. So you're either going to see an Illinois team crumble under the pressure, or you're going to see an Illinois team rise to the occasion. And for Oregon, there's a lot of pressure on you to beat a really good team in an epic fashion. I mean, if you beat them by 21.5 points, wow, that is a great football game for Oregon. I will be very impressed if Oregon beats them by that much. That's a very good game for Oregon. So I think this is a bit of a setup game. I'm nervous about this game for both of these teams. Okay, because one, you got a rabid animal. And the other one, you got a team that's just projected to, you got to dismantle even the greatest of greatest talent. And I think that's a lot of pressure. I still have Oregon winning this one, but it is definitely a game that makes me nervous. I'll say that. I will definitely say that. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below.